In this video, we're going to look at how to protect yourself when you get thrown to the ground. There's actually three parts. There's how to safely land on the ground. There's how to protect yourself when you're stuck on your back before you can get up. And then there's how to safely get up off the ground so that you don't get kicked in the head. In general, if you find yourself in a street fight, the ground is the last place you want to be. It's hard pavement. It could be very unforgiving. There could be glass. There can be a curb. There's a lot of ways that you can get hurt when you go to the ground. It's not a soft judo mat. The other problem is that a lot of times in a street fight, you think you're fighting a guy one-on-one, and you end up entangled with the guy in the ground, and then all of his friends come in and they punch you in the head or they stomp you in the face, and you're basically a sitting duck. So for a lot of reasons, when you're in a self-defense situation, you really want to think about staying off the ground. That said, there will be some times when going to the ground works to your advantage. If you feel very confident that you're in a one-on-one situation and no one else is going to jump in, there may be times when you think, I'm better off on the ground with this guy. If you've got good grappling skills, if you've been doing wrestling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the other guy's a boxer, you have a natural advantage if you can take him to the ground. In the same way, if you're in a fight at school and maybe there's some kind of unwritten rule that other people don't jump in if two people are fighting, that can definitely work to your advantage if you take the other guy to the ground, especially if he's a bigger, stronger guy. You don't want to be sitting there on your feet throwing punches with him. If you can take him to the ground, you can kind of neutralize his threat without getting hurt. But you just need to know that anytime you go to the ground, you kind of run the risk of things going wrong for you, either landing hard on something or having other people jump in. So in general, try to stay off the ground. So the first thing we're going to look at is how to land safely. If you get pushed to the ground, there's a good chance of injuring yourself. The most damaging would be that if you fell back and whacked your head against the pavement, that could knock you out. The other thing you could do is that if you land square on your back, you could really injure your back, or if you land on a chair or a curb or something hard or a fire hydrant, that can be the end. The other problem that people run into is that when they get pushed, they kind of stick their hand out to break their fall, and that can easily break your wrist and break your arm, so you don't want to do that. So the first thing we're going to look at is something called the break fall. And this is a standard move that you can use and you can practice. And this minimizes the risk of doing any damage to yourself. The basics of the break fall is that when you get pushed backwards, you want to protect your head. You don't want it to hit the ground. So you want to make sure that you tuck your chin forward and you keep your head off the ground. And the other thing you want to do is, instead of taking the impact on your back, you want to take your hands like giant wings and slap them on the floor. By slapping them on the floor before your back hits, you're spreading out the impact of the fall all along your arms and all along your hands. And while that may sting your hands a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's going to protect your more vital targets, which are your back and your head. So it looks something like this. I roll back, just like that. So you see what happens is that when I'm falling back, I tuck my chin to protect my head so that that doesn't hit the ground, and then I swing my arms out and I slap the ground. You can practice this roll from a squatted position like that, and you can see that when I roll back, I just want to put all the impact across my arms and protect my head and my back. You can even practice sitting down. My arms come out at about 45 degrees from my body. Doesn't have to be exact. It's wherever it feels comfortable for you. And the other thing you'll notice about this is that when I land, I want to drop one foot back to the mat as quickly as possible to stabilize my body. And then I want the other foot to come up in a chambered position, because this is what I'm going to use to kick a guy if he continues to come at me. If I just roll straight legs, he can jump on top of me. So I want to keep one foot up and one foot down, ready to kick. So what do you do once you're on the ground? If I get thrown to the ground, my primary job is to get back up as quickly as possible. But I can't always do that right away. If this guy threw me to the ground, I don't want to just try to roll over and get back up, because he's going to jump on me. I don't want to expose my back. I don't want to expose my head. I have to deal with the immediate threat first, which is this guy who's still coming at me. So when I'm down, that's why I have this leg chambered. It doesn't matter which one. I have a leg chambered so that I could shoot out and kick him if he tries to come in on me. And this basic kick requires that I take my butt and I take it off the mat, and then I shoot out straight. either towards his stomach or his groin, or I can turn my leg a little bit and take out one of his knees, whatever I need to do to keep him away. Because I have leverage against the ground, it's actually a pretty strong kick, and I can get a lot of power into it. And if he tries to go around me to get to my head, what I could do is just circle with him, like this. So I try to keep only a small area of my back actually touching the ground. Because if I'm up like this and I try to turn, I can actually get pretty good leverage. But if my whole back is flat, there's too much friction and I find it too hard to move. It's too slow. So you almost want to curl up and rotate like this, just to keep him away from your head. So how do I actually get up off the ground? This is just meant to buy me some time so that he doesn't do more damage when I'm vulnerable. But what I really want to do is at the first opportunity, I want to get up. How do I do that? What I don't want to do is get up the traditional way, which is to put my hands on the mat and put my head towards him, because that makes me very vulnerable to getting kicked in the head. I want to make sure that when I get up, I keep my head away from him and protected. And the way to do that is from this defensive position, I want to roll to one side. It could be either side. But when I roll to this side, I want to keep my leg up and I want to keep my hand up. I'm still ready to kick him, right? If he comes at me, I can kick him. And I've got my hand up if he tries to come in and throw a punch. You'll notice from this position, I come up on my elbow. I was down on the ground and I roll up on one elbow. And when I have a chance, I want to plant this foot, my kicking foot, as close to my butt as possible, still keeping my hand raised. And then I want to take this foot, which I can still use in the meantime to kick him if I have to, and I want to swing it back and behind me so that I can stand up. By doing this, I get up off the ground without putting my head closer to my attacker. That's the whole key. Instead of getting up like this where I'm vulnerable, I'm in a position where my head never gets any closer to him. I'm on my back, I roll to the side, he still thinks I'm going to kick him, and then as soon as I get a chance, I shoot back like that. For some people, they find that it's too difficult to do this using just one hand, and they prefer to put two hands on the mat, especially when you're starting out. There's no problem with that. It's nice to have this hand up here as an extra defense, but if you can't get up, then you can't get up. You can also do it with two hands. Same thing. You're defending yourself. You've got your hands up protecting your face. You've got your foot chambered. Your toes are back. You're ready to kick him with your heel in the stomach, in the groin, in the knee. And when you have a chance, you roll to one side. You come up on your elbow. You're still ready to kick him, right? You could still do a side kick or a straight kick. And when you have a chance, you drop this foot close to your butt. You plant both hands right next to you, and then you push backwards. So in real time, it looks like this. You're here, and then you're back. This makes it very difficult for him to take advantage of your head because you're not presenting it as a target. My head is away from him here, right? Protected by my legs. My head is still away from him here, protected from my leg and my hand, or even just by my leg. And then my head never gets any closer to him. From here, I just go like that. So to review, we said that in a street fight, generally speaking, the ground is the last place you want to be. You want to focus on using your feet to keep you upright. There are times when going to the ground can work to your advantage. If you're against a really good boxer and you've got good grappling skills, that may be the way to neutralize that threat. But you always have to be careful because in the real world, the pavement is very hard. There can be dangerous things on the ground. And once you're down there, the other guy can have friends that jump in and take advantage. If you do go to the ground, the key thing you want to remember is to protect your head. You drop your chin and you use your arms to break your fall. Once you're on the ground, you want to address the immediate threat, which is your attacker. You don't want him to get on top of you. You don't want him to kick you in the head. So you immediately want to have one leg up and one leg down to brace yourself, and you kick him so that he can't get close to you. And if he moves, you turn with him. At the first opportunity, you want to get up off the ground. And you do that by keeping your head away from your attacker. From my back, I want to turn to one side. I'm still capable of defending myself. I can kick him. I've got a hand up here to protect my head. And as soon as I have an opening, I want to drop this foot close to my butt. I want to put 1 or 2 hands on the ground, and I want to push away from him. I emerge in a defensive position, ready to fight again.